Dustin Smith from Canyon Oilfield Services. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I sure thank you coming back for a second round.
Yes, sir. Well, thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for coming. And today, what we're going to be talking about is Dustin's oilfield service company, and in particular, his gas conditioning service, and how they're able to help people save money at the rig by replacing diesel with natural gas sourced, locally from the field. I'm going to let him get into the technical details and kind of introduce himself. But again, let's get ready to go. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Well, thank you, Keith. And yeah, Dustin Smith, Canyon Oilfield Services. We have a multi-line service company that we have transport trucks, roustabouts, and also offer natural gas conditioning for the drilling and frac fleets. We've done anywhere from drilling rigs of dual fuel, turbine powered, lean burn engines, to frac fleet, full E fleets, to dual fuel frac fleets. Where we've taken, we try to get source gas from a pipeline there instead of a well, just due to the abundant source and the abundance of the gas that's available. And we take the raw gas, condition it for whatever, the conditions change due to the composition of the gas and the equipment that we're going to try to fuel for whatever operation we're trying for.
Nice. So how did you end up here with this particular service? You'd mentioned how you guys have this roustabout company essentially, and you noticed some things that you could start to gain efficiencies, reduce cost. And how did you end up here with this specific type of unit that you can describe, and this system, and why it saves so much money?
Yeah, so we was actually just on location, asked just to hook up some equipment, and so we went out there and hooked some of this equipment up. It was actually, we started doing this, would have been in 2012. Okay. And we was hooking it up for a Waukesha lean burn engine, which there we had at that time we had a JT unit, a dehy compressor. It was quite a bit of equipment and a lengthy install time. We had to have cranes, a bunch of trucks to move everything, logistics, and then took up a quite big footprint. And, so it was costly because you also had to have a bullet tank. So there was just a lot of moving parts there.
Yeah. And you had to do stuff on the location too, like build out the pads and just man hours and gravel and whatever else, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you'd have to haul aggregates in so you could get a level pad to set the compressor on. You had to build a spot, for everything. Then you'd also have to set up a temporary barrier to keep the traffic from the regular rig traffic off. So we started hooking this stuff up. And at that point, the construction foreman hit me up. He just said he was too busy to take care of it solely. So he just asked if I would get with the engineer and just start working with him. So we started working with a gentleman by the name of Sam Goswick. And Sam was, he's a very intelligent individual. And we really become close friends after working so long together we set this up a few different times. And after we just seen the layout, we replumbed some stuff so that we could get better gas savings. They was giving away some just through not recycling much gas. So we set it up to where we could recycle and get a better conditioned fuel, and they could get better, clean power. So we done that for a while. Then I went up to see them. What's that?
Well, what I was going to ask before we go any further, kind of set up what exactly is happening here. Let's just assume we're at the rig. Set it not, like a lot of my geologists and whatever, what we're talking about is the power generation for a rig, which requires, quite a bit of energy. And so just step us back really quick. So talk about traditionally how these generators are just fueled with diesel, how they bring it in, And like the idea, the concept, and what you'll actually do in terms of, like you say, having a metered connection is probably easier. You can just exactly what's coming and it's consistent. But just real quick, step us through the actual rig itself, the power generation, and where this slots in before we get into how you're actually conditioning this gas and how you figured out you could lose the compressor in the first place. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
So, typically a rig just is straight diesel engines.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's been going on since the 80s because I talked to a lot of the old guys and they were saying, we used to burn them on propane,
Okay.
and so it's not like per se real. I mean, it's not new technology. It's just the different way that we go about it. Where the new technology come in is through, CAT and just different developers of dual fuel programming for the engines, kits.
And I've seen Cummins is doing it, Cat. So this dual
Absolutely.
fuel, like you see in them, even where it's natural gas, like this diesel, and have I even seen where there's even a hydrogen potential? But they all seem to be kind of developing these dual fuel systems. Okay. And we've got
Absolutely.
big
And a lot
generators
of
at
it,
the rig.
and the bigger kick has come into, too, is due to the fact that we're trying to, displace carbon and
Hmm.
anything to become greener and better stewards of the environment. And why not use a product that we have, an abundance of in the field that's right there that we don't have to have, trucks coming in every day to bring diesel in.
Right.
You're still going to have, if it's a dual fuel, you still got to bring diesel in. If it's a turbine driven, you don't have, there's, no diesel. I mean, they can burn diesel,
Hmm.
but a turbine typically is just going to run on that gas just because the rate of it's not efficient. So typically you'd bring diesel in and you just run the rig straight diesel. Well, once you
Okay.
go, let's just go with the dual fuel unit. So you'd have a dual fuel unit. You just bring in one of our trailers. We would like to hook up to a plug on location, but sometimes there's not gas there. So I would say it just depends on what their infrastructure, how far pipeline their midstream companies behind.
Hmm.
We have to go grab fuel on a location. Like I told you yesterday, we're rigging up on one right now and should finish up on the line today, running about a mile above ground pipe
Okay.
to a location to the drilling site for fuel. And the one that we're actually rigging up right now is going to run 2 rigs off one trailer, where they're going to have
Okay.
rigs close enough. Um, and that's kind of one of those situations where you can get by with that.
Hmm.
This is going to be on like MTUs, the Cummins, that they
Yeah.
just don't get their substitution rates aren't as high as what you'd see on like a CAT DGB system.
Okay. So there's
You know,
better manufacturers on the
yeah, they
actual
just CAT
generator
has
side.
absolutely CAT's got I would say it's got a hold on the market on the dual fuel. They just and then like I said yesterday, where we have to have the service provider has to be backing it and making it they have to buy into the whole equation as well.
You had
If you don't
probably
have the
a lot of
money,
pushback from them.
yeah, you do get some because that old mentality. Well, it worked before. Why are we going to change?
Sure.
So
Sure.
the market evolves, and we've got to be able to jump and move with the market.
Sure.
And why not? If we can save money, your money on a
Well, and
drilling rig is
they're
fuel
still
safe.
selling you gas, right?
That's
It's
right.
just you
That's
got to
right.
go, they're still selling you gas, but they got to go plumb it up and, kind of hassle with it, so to speak. But,
That's right. And
I think that,
to make the economics work out, you've got to really. I mean, it really helps the economics out a lot if you have a plug on location.
yeah. Well, and
Just
I think we talked about it yesterday. I'm sure the offset producers and everybody else likes the line pressure getting lowered too, you know?
yeah, oh yeah, that's on a frac. I mean, you bring in an E fleet, and you're looking at even on those dual fuel, we're getting 83% substitution on residue gas. I mean, we're moving anywhere from 4.5 to 5 million. E fleet, you move spot rates of 6.5 million. So you'd moving a bunch of fuel.
So again, so you'll come to, hopefully there's a meter nearby where you can kind of get right on that gas. You run a line, however you have to do it. Or there's some cases you may have to bury it temporarily, or do you generally
Absolutely.
get by with
It
just
just
okay?
depends on if it's in a traffic area, we'll try to put
Yep.
a drive over or something. We
Sure.
run off
Sure.
the pipeline. We run straight into the inlet of our gas unit.
Okay.
We'd like to come off the pipeline in where we run polyline a lot of times if it's a low pressure situation, like on a drilling rig.
Exactly. And so what I was going to say, to kind of explain more to the layman like myself, so you come off of the main line to your equipment that's truck
Mm-hmm.
mounted, and it's basically kind of a mini refinery in
Yeah,
a
so
way.
ours is just like if we're just going to do a dual fuel and the gas composition is staying in spec with whatever the engine.
ETU based, basically.
That's right, absolutely.
Okay.
So if it's in a field that's got some older wells on it that they're not as rich, and
Sure.
you let's say you see something in the 1250 range, we're gonna
Okay.
still we're gonna still run it, and we're not gonna put a JT or MRU or something on it. Like
Okay.
on
And
drilling,
now
we'd
will
like
the
to have.
system kick liquids back out, or what's the okay.
So
Okay.
like ours, if we're just going to dry the gas and filter it and get it ready to just send to the engine, we'll just the moisture will steam it off through our
Okay.
reboiler,
Sure.
and just the regeneration of our glycol.
Great.
Um, so it just come into our unit. It's all self-sustained. It's got a tank on the front of it, so we don't have to bring anything in. Basically, all it is we come in with our source gas, run it through our unit, we dry it, filter it, measure it, and then we go back off of our unit and then back out to the rig, and then
Now,
that
and
goes
here's the
straight to the
point,
source gas.
really, where you kind of came up with the cost savings, and you'll obviously know better than I. There was a case where you needed the higher line pressure going to the power generation units. But here's where your cost savings and cost reduction comes in. Is so what did you really figure out where you
So
were able to
yeah,
save
after
money
when we first
on the
started doing
system?
it, we had compression, and as I got to looking at it, the reason that we had compression was just due to the fact that we had to have a higher pressure to operate the dehy. So
Okay.
you could use to put it like a D100 kit or something in it, just to where you could operate at lower pressures.
Hey,
The
and real
problem with
quick, would
those
you mind
are
spelling that for me real quick? Because I got to put the text in it. The D high. What's the
DHY.
DHD? Okay.
Yeah, and so you just have a dehy that they typically want to run over 500 pounds, and you can
Okay.
put a kit in it to where you can run lower pressure. But when you put that kit in there, it's typically they work, but sometimes they just stall out. So what we've went in
Okay.
there and we installed a pump, electric pump, and then therefore we went over to 3-phase, and we have a VFD in there that we can adjust we can adjust it on the fly. We can adjust it remotely.
And so you can maintain the pressure that you need. That
Yes, you
is
will,
not
and
the
the temperature.
500 pounds that the compressor was giving you.
So we know that glycol typically wants to stay within 10 degrees. You want to be under 100 degrees or lower, even 90 degrees on your gas temperature coming in, and glycol works a lot better that way. And then you want to keep a 10 to 15 degree spread from your inlet gas to your your outlet gas going, so that you get a good absorption through your glycol.
Okay.
So one thing that we monitor our inlet and outlet gas temperatures,
Okay.
and we have the capability of have logic built into our PLC that the PLC will actually make an adjustment to our VFD and adjust which the VFD would be just a variable frequency drive, and we can speed up or slow down our glycol pump on the fly. Or a lot of times we take the logic out just because we've seen that we'd rather make the adjustments ourselves, because a lot of times it
Okay.
goes
So
just
you
a
have the
hunt.
ability to kind of toggle it a little bit.
Yeah, because when you put that logic, it just hunts all the time, so it's just speeding up and slowing down, and it just it seems that the longevity of the pump likes a lot better if we just adjust it manually. And so we have alarms within our SCADA. So when we first started doing it, that was one of the deals I talked to Matt about. Was we didn't have a way to send us an alarm. So we had SCADA, and all we had was just an air card with a static IP address. And so we could
Mhm.
just ping that IP address and have a window into our HMI.
Yes.
And we would enter into our HMI, and we could make all the adjustments we wanted. We could see all of our pressures. We could see our flow rate. We could see, our yesterday's volumes. But the main thing was I wanted a way that we could send it out, send out an email to the whoever, like if it's the rig
guy,
pusher, the consultant, whoever, for their fuel reports, that they had a way that they didn't even have to go check it. They could email it just directly to them.
no, that's
So
great.
we went with a company called Sensiphone, and there's a lot out there. That was just one that Matt was using, and so he was able to help me out with some support on that. And so
That telecom part of this business is really interesting. I've seen kind of the ins and outs of it with the SCADA data. One of my last guests, Jeff Hughes, did a system similar to what you talked about for our field here at the West Edmond Hunt and Line unit. But yeah, that communicating with the well, the SCADA data and being able to push the reports to the people as opposed, and multi reports, like I said, his can even track the, the person's miles that's going
absolutely,
around,
yeah.
all in the same system. So it's nice to see the customization and, different options out
Yeah,
there.
and it may have freed up where we're not going to send a tech out there every day just to look at it.
It's an underappreciated thing we have to deal with is getting comms out to these remote areas, right?
Absolutely, and so that was one thing that I liked about this. We could put different data cards into the Sensiphone, and whatever area we're in, if we need to use Verizon, AT&T.
Oh, that's cool.
Cell
You
service.
just swap whoever's got the most bars, huh?
That's right. Or if they have if somebody has the capability that we could hit their internet, we can hit it whichever way, as long as we can get some kind of service that we can send a
Have you ever had to use like a Starlink kind of deal or anything like that?
We haven't done that. Just the cost.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it just gets a little expensive on that when there's so much other options that are cheaper that we can go with, and it keeps where we can keep our cost structure down, because you know how everything is. Everything keeps tightening up, and everybody's wanting discounts, and it's hard to give discounts.
And then they want more bandwidth, and
and more insurance, and more everything else. So that's just one thing that we've found that as if we can have a SCADA that actually where we can remote in, and a lot of the stuff where we have different areas. We've been down in South Texas, West Texas, New Mexico, Eastern Oklahoma, Western Oklahoma, Texas Panhandle. We've even went. I've went up there and looked at doing some projects in not North Dakota, but up in Wyoming.
Oh, okay.
And we wouldn't have a problem with doing some stuff in Wyoming. Wyoming was just going to be a tougher basin for us to operate out of, because you're going to have the manpower just due to in the winters. That it's just we wasn't our equipment wasn't, let me say,
wasn't ready for the sub-zero
it wasn't
stuff,
structured for that cold environment. I mean, we have heat trace on a lot of our stuff. We just have to insulate a little better.
Different game. That's got to be a different game out on the rig,
Absolutely. But
and you know how we do out here. If it's zero, we shut down.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, and some of it is too that we can, the cost savings on a rig's good, but it's not as great as what you can do on a frac. A frac, I mean, you're looking at 3,000 gallons of fuel a stage, where a drilling rig and big hole, and you're stroking your pumps a lot, you're going to get, big fuel numbers, 3,000 gallons in one day. In wintertime now, if they do run the Tioga heaters or some kind of other heater, that we also plumb those in as well. And now those are big fuel savings, because those are going to be 100% natural gas, where they can come off of the diesel. And a lot of those are dual fuel already. They just have double fuel burners in there, where you just go to the nat gas side.
Yeah, and it is crazy to think, the rig gets out there running constantly, but you're right, like that power draws nothing compared to like just what you're pumping out on these fracs with all that. That's a whole other level. But getting 80%, up to 80% or even over, you were saying.
Yeah, so we've we've been on some tier 4 fleets that, on raw field gas, we're seeing numbers about 76 to 79% substitution rates.
Wow.
The big factor in that is also that company also had a ton of support from the field-based employees and also the frac provider. Everybody bought in, and we all worked in unison as a team. And they also had a CAT representative out there, that was he stayed out there all the time. And that was a huge help because he kept everything in tune, and we worked well with each other. And we're actually just starting to rig back up on that July 10th, I believe. But now we're going back out on residue. They got a residue gas line that they use for a gas lift injection.
Okay.
So
I'd imagine some operators are nice and plumbed up, even right there on location with a meter.
Absolutely. Yep. And so like on that, where we're not getting, you're seeing 79 to 83% substitution on that residue gas. It's 1050 BTU gas, just really good gas. And so all that we're doing, a lot of that is we're doing, your pressure reduction, filtering. And you still see moisture coming in on those lines just because of long runs that we still see some moisture in that line.
So do you have to stop and purge every so often kind of thing?
No, we just run through our equipment. As we run through it, we don't have to, it's pretty self-sufficient. It runs itself. When we're running on that, we don't even have a hand on site. We just have techs that's, within the area. Now when we run on field gas, we like to have, a tech, 24 hours. We'll have one tech, 12 hours, and a day and a night guy.
Sure.
And we get a lot of support from different providers that we've had trained up, let's say, like as flow hands that we know that can operate our equipment in those areas. And we just rely on some of those hands to help us out in the different basins. That's helped us out a lot, just where you.
So how many of these did you say that you have?
So we have, it's 10 units, and it just depends on, so it's all modular, and we've got a couple big manifolds.
So the units, you can modulate the units themselves that roll on location. That's what
Absolutely.
you're saying?
So we can,
so depending on the need.
A frac will use anywhere from 2 to 3 trailers, and then we can manifold them together. If we need a JT, we can bring a JT, tie it into the manifold system. And that whole manifold, it's no different like a manifold that you'd see in a compressor station that you just have a header running on the back. And it's, it's got your dump, your inlet, your outlet, your suction discharge. It's got it for compression. So we can bring that in, put all the trailers that we need for the fuel volumes that we're going to see. A drilling, and if we're going to do a drilling rig, we just take one of those units out for a drilling rig and use the same unit. Due to the fact
when you ran 2 rigs, was it still just 1 unit?
What's that?
Was it still just 1 unit was able to run 2 rigs, like you said that one time?
Yeah, well, just because they're not going to, in that situation, they're not going to run as many. They're not going to get as good a substitution. So
they're still running pretty good on
60,
diesel.
70% substitution. You're going to see some 200, 250 MCF a day usage on it. And so, at that pressure, lower pressure, so it's all dependent on pressure and gas velocities through our unit and making sure we get enough retention time. So on a drilling rig where we're using low pressure, low volumes, we can use one of those units because we have enough retention time with the lower volumes. Now, if we're going to run a frac fleet, where we're using 2 to 3 units, we're also going to have it compressed up there, a lot higher. Because like on those tier 4 fleets, we're going to try to send them, into the whatever their fuel distribution system is. We'll send them in there 150, 200 pounds to their inlet, and then they'll distribute it out of that. And
so they'll have like a little
150 pounds to the tier 4 engines. So you definitely have some compression out there. Well, if depending on what your pressure is how many units we're going to have to put out there.
Got it. Got
you
it.
know, just to
You'll
get the
go out
retention
there
time.
and figure it out before you build it out. Then
Absolutely. So
follow up.
we'll try to touch base with the customer and see what the what's our application going to be, and then what's also is what are we going to see as far as fuel supply? What is our BTU value? What is our pressures? What's our volume that we can get out of that field? And then we will design the equipment based around what they have to provide.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you've kind of got a pretty neat system here. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can either give me a shout on my cell phone, just shoot me an email, which is just and we'll get out there and try to get sized up for an application or meet with you. And we've designed some Excel spreadsheets that we can go in there and see live cost saving structure based upon what your commercial departments worked with your midstream company. We can plug those prices in, the daily fuel. What's the price at the rack? We can plug that in and see what your instant savings is going to be.
That's great.
So
cool.
it gives you a live number at that point in time.
People's eyes light up a little bit when they see it.
Yeah, well, some of them do. Some of them it's going to cost.
Just poker face.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they take it as a lot of, and that's a lot of the.
There may be a pain in the ass factor that they may think about, changing from what they're used to.
That's right. They've already got it. It's easy. One call. They call the fuel truck. The fuel truck comes.
Yeah, he's been doing it for 25 years.
Phone call that they have to do, which we try to work with them. And hey, you give us the people to get in touch with. We'll take care of that, and we'll put our techs in touch with them and make sure that we get out in the field and we try to be in front of you to where all you got to do is just call us and we can try to set a lot of that up.
That's great. What do you think about maybe getting out on location one day with a camera and being able to come on the podcast that way? All right.
Absolutely. We can do it for sure.
I love it.
So,
all right. Well, I'm going to hold you to it for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'd love to get out there and we'll talk with the customer. If they'll let us out there, we can go anytime. So
let's do it. Let me know and I'll make it happen. Yep.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate it, Keith, and hope all is well.
Everything's good. And I sure thank you for coming on. Again, this is Canyon Oilfield Services based out of Elk City. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. This is the Grizzled Geologist. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, and give us a like. And to all you roustabouts out there, hurry up.
Work for it. Don't be crazy. And work for your money.